There you go.
I always, I really just, I like getting your approval on it, Don, and that's a good motivation for me to do it. Um, so we are on uh, chapter 9 of the book of Judith.
Chapter 9.
Um, and this whole chapter is a prayer of Judith. Um, so we had talked about before we began reading this book that it, in many ways, is very similar to the book of Esther that is in every Bible. But the biggest difference is that the book of Esther never mentions God. Um, this it is a mystery. There are lots of scholars who have lots of different opinions on it. But yeah, God is never invoked by name. It's more about the Jewish people in a more general sense. And this book is also about saving the Jewish people, but uh, it is highlighted that Judith does this through the power of God, and so that's where we are today. Yeah, chapter 9. And I'm going to share my screen. I finally uh, tried to make it a little better for us by instead of all of those ads that are always on the Bible website, I just copied and pasted it to save us a little bit of eye strain. Um, but I think most of us have our own Bibles anyway. Um, could I ask someone to read? Um, you can read all of this if you'd like. It's 14 verses, which is not too terribly long. So if anyone is feeling moved to read it.
I'll read it. Judith prostrated herself. She put ashes on her head and uncovered the sackcloth she was wearing. And at the moment when the evening incense was being offered in the house of God at Jerusalem, she raised her voice and cried to the Lord, Lord, the God of my forefather Simeon, you put a sword in Simeon's hand for him to take vengeance on those foreigners who had stripped off a virgin's veil to defile her, uncovered her thighs to shame her, and violated her womb to dishonor her. Though you said such a thing shall not be done, yet they did so. That was why you gave up their rulers to be slain, and the bed they had disgraced with their treachery to be stained with blood. Beneath your stroke, both slaves and princes fell, even princes upon their thrones. You gave their wives as booty and their daughters as captives, and all the spoils to be apportioned among your beloved sons, who, aflame with zeal for your cause and aghast at the pollution of their blood, called on you for help. God, my God, hear also a widow's prayer. All that happened then and all that happened before and after was your work. What is now and what is yet to be, you have planned. And what you have planned has come to pass. The things you have foreordained present themselves and say, we are here. All your ways are prepared beforehand. Your judgment rests on foreknowledge. Here are the Assyrians massed in force, exultant in their horses and riders, boasting of the might of their infantry, confident in shield and javelin, bow and sling. They do not know that you are the Lord who stamps out wars. The Lord is your name. Overthrow their strength by your power and crush their might in your anger. For their aim is to desecrate your temple, to defile the dwelling place of your glorious name, and to lay low the horns of your altar with the sword. See how arrogant they are. Bring down your wrath on their heads and give to me, widow though I am, the strength to achieve my end. Use the guile of my words to strike them down, the slave with the ruler with the servant. Shatter their pride by a woman's hand. Your might lies not in numbers, nor your sovereign power in strong men, but you are the God of the humble, the help of the poor, the support of the weak, the protector of the despairing, the deliverer of those who have lost all hope. God of my forefather, God of Israel's heritage, Lord of heaven and earth, creator of the waters, king of all your creation, hear my prayer. Grant that my deceiving words may wound and bruise those who harbor cruel designs against your covenant and against your temple, the summit of Zion and the home and possession of your children. May your whole nation, every tribe, be made aware that you are God, God of all power and might, and that you and you alone are Israel's shield.
Thank you, Jared. So I don't know if you are all familiar with the reference to Simeon in this passage. So Simeon was one of the children of Jacob, one of the tribes of Israel. And there is a story in Genesis about his sister being sexually assaulted, and the brothers all avenge her, and that's the reference that she is making. But she's not identifying herself with one of the women in the story. She is putting herself in the place of Simeon, the Avenger. That she is going to be the one to save Israel in this way.
Is Simeon an apocrypha or regular?
So it wouldn't. There's no book of Simeon, but he is. This is a story that's in the book of Genesis.
Oh.
Mhm. So that's
Genesis more than.
There's a lot in
there's
there.
a lot of Genesis. But yeah, that's a little bit of a. There's quite a few references in her prayer. It's very clear that she is a very pious woman who knows her scripture. But it's kind of a mixed bag of a prayer. There's things that I don't know that I would pray. And then there's some things that I'm like, oh, I would love to steal that.
Yeah. I've never seen the word booty in a. That really mean like plunder, not like.
Yeah.
Cause I was like thinking like this.
Yeah, especially when it's their wives' booties. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like pirate booty, like treasure,
I believe that is
like things you've stolen.
Yeah, and does mine now I have to see if both of my translations say booty, because that would be funny.
And as I was, you gave their wives as booties.
Yeah, and that is, I have multiple different translations, and I don't know why that's.
If David was here, he'd be giving us the Greek.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if I can.
I think plunder is equally appropriate.
It's in this Bible.
It says plunder in there.
No, it says booty.
Okay. Yeah, that's just such a funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say
choice.
It's a fun word.
But yeah, I think that's where out of all of the things in this prayer, I think that's what I struggle with the most, is that it's spoken about like a good thing because it's Israel wins against these bad people, but in the midst of that, there are these women and girls who are on the losing side, who are bought and sold. And I think I struggle with that part of it.
So if we haven't moved on, I did just look it up.
Thank you.
So it's from so Judith in Greek, it was part of the Septuagint. I can never say that word. Skyla, and that means something stripped from an enemy, like the spoils of a battle. So they basically like took their wives as like something they'd won in a battle.
Yeah.
So that's not groovy.
So yeah, that would plunder is a great synonym for
and
that.
Probably a better one, given like modern language.
Yeah, and just odd that everybody's translation says that.
Yeah, it's really funny. Anyway.
But thank you for looking.
Yeah, I was curious. I was honorary David there for 2 minutes.
I like the one line where she says, crush their arrogance by the hand of a female.
Mm.
That's pretty cool. You know, that's be one thing for a guy to get you, but if a woman's doing it back then, especially.
Some people could still use that.
I think that's one of the major themes of this story is that it's God's power, and God's power even is through a single woman is able to upend this entire army of men, and in the culture of the time that would have been even more incredible.
For how long in the church, and continuing still in some churches, can women not do what men do? And you have a story like this who's like,
Yeah.
let the ladies take care of this.
Mm-hmm. And she very much does just say, like,
handle it, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I hear you, leaders of this town. I've got it.
Go take your seat.
I like the idea that because she's a widow and lacks sort of power or people to help her, it makes her prayers like more powerful. She keeps saying this is a prayer of a widow. Like this is coming from a place of powerlessness.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, kingdom of heaven, everything's upside down, right? So like the people who have the least power here are the ones that God cares about. I think the people who've given up hope. And she's like, look, I have all these things that make me weak on earth, but that makes my prayers stronger.
Mhm.
I kind of love that idea.
Yeah.
And that's why she says towards the end of her prayer, you are the God of the lowly, the helper of the oppressed, upholder of the weak, protector of the forsaken, savior of those without hope.
Yeah.
And so it's this is what you're here for.
Yeah. Like, I'm your gal. You want to help someone who doesn't have a lot going for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I when I mentioned there are things in here that I would steal for my own prayers, I think it is that that verse 11 I find really lovely.
Yeah.
It's how we look at Jesus too.
Mm-hmm.
Helper of the forsaken and savior of those without hope.
I think that's a very good point, especially since so often we talk about God of the Old Testament, Jesus of the Gospels as being very different things, when there are times where that we see that same mercy that we see in Jesus in the Old Testament, and then there are times where we see the wrath of God in the New Testament. So this is a great example of that.
I have a little note in mine that says, she prays for the success of her deceit because trickery would have been considered a very honorable weapon in war. Which is interesting to me. That if you can win by tricking people, it's more honorable than winning by just slicing them down.
Has there been another time in the Bible where somebody did trickery?
Oh, there's been so many times. That's I feel like we're gonna have to read something out of Genesis next. Because there are some good ones.
Rahab, I think.
Yes, that is one. She disguised herself as a prostitute to trick her father-in-law. There's we just read the story of either, depending on how your interpretation of it, either Laban or his daughters Leah and Rachel conspired to trick Jacob into marrying Leah instead of Rachel. Jacob himself tricked his father into blessing him instead of his older brother Esau. There are the Shipsha and Pua, the midwives in Egypt, tricked the Pharaoh who was trying to kill all of the newborn male babies by saying, sorry, Jewish women are just really good at childbirth. They're done before we even get here. So there's trickery it's interesting because trickery is such a theme of our scripture, but do not lie is one of our 10 commandments. And so what does that mean for us?
Yeah, I was gonna say, one of my footnotes is that Judith asked God to help her lie 2 times. Yeah. Deceitful words. Twice Judith asked God to make her successful liar in order to preserve her people. It's one of those like, but if it's for the good, is it really a crime? If I steal to feed the poor, is it really?
Because I guess like not killing's in the top 10 too, right? And so, but there's still lots of like righteous battles and killing with people.
Mhm.
So lying is further down. I don't know. Maybe it's better to lie than to kill. I don't if trickery is considered honorable, maybe lying. If your other option's killing, lying's better. I'm not sure.
Are we lying to prevent more killing?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just what my footnote says. You can ask Oxford.
And yeah, that idea of trickery goes beyond Christianity, because I mean the Odyssey just is out in theaters right now, and it's more the Iliad is the Trojan horse than the Odyssey, but there's a great scene in that movie where they're in the horse, and that is cleverness to win a battle.
My grandma used to always say, a liar is a abomination, but I think it should be a Trump nation.
Oh boy. Well, if you're looking for the gold standard of liars, I guess.
Gold. You compared him to a gold standard. That's all he would hear.
Like they say, you can tell he's lying when his lips are moving, so.
But no, it is it's interesting. It's and I think what Charity and Jackie, what you both were talking about was like the idea of harm reduction. Does that override rules? I know in Judaism, the respect for life overrides pretty much any other rule, if it will save lives. And I don't know that we explicitly believe that in that same way in Christianity, but we don't not believe it.
It references, when it says that trickery is considered an honorable weapon, it references Joshua 3-27. So I was just looking at it. And so that's when, so Joshua like took everybody into Gibeon, and then they had to disguise themselves to like get safe passage through.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would take me a while to figure out everything they're saying. But it looks like when they were using deceit and trickery to survive, it was considered like, of God and no.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It would take probably someone who's written a paper on the whole thing, but
Without us talking, it's kind of hard when you read it the first time. All the deceiving and the trickery, and how can that be good? Now when you delve into it, yeah, but it just seems like, wow, this lady's no good.
I mean, it's like somebody like protecting Anne Frank, like if they lied to protect Anne Frank.
It's a great example.
That's a good way of doing it, yeah.
Fantastic example. Yeah, there was a lot of lying and trickery. Kept her and many Jews alive.
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
lying to preserve life.
Mhm.
Because they're all about to die either of thirst or to be cut down, right? So it's like trying to keep yourself alive. using your brain. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I once led a Dungeons and Dragons group for a youth group. And though if you haven't played before, the way it generally goes is you run into monsters and you fight and you kill the monsters.
Do you really need to play sometime?
I don't know anything about it.
Either.
That's generally, but part of the way a game like that works is the rules are not strict. You're telling a story and you can make any decision. And so the kids that were there that day, there was a blob monster, and they ended up uh, reasoning with the blob monster and convincing him that they were actually his friends. And they avoided the fight altogether. And they were so much more excited by the end of that they had they used trickery rather than violence to win this fight. And they all went home and they told their parents that they made friends with a blob monster.
Really funny.
So there's no board game or nothing, it's just all you make it up in your head as you're going.
You roll
Some
dice.
people have little figurines that you can move around, but they're not strictly necessary.
I know the two of you were talking once about D&D. I had no idea what D&D was. I went home and asked them.
That's a fair guess, yeah.
When I was growing up, though, some of the people, like Tony Dave and them, would play, but there was such a thing about it being witchcraft and horrible.
Yeah.
It just wasn't seen as a game, that it's not something. One, I just wasn't interested in that kind of thing. It's just not mine. But I would certainly never tell you if I knew people who played, because clearly that's devil worshipping.
Interesting.
That's what my grandma used to think about it.
Mm.
None of my friends who played it were like, Jackie, what is your problem? It is not. And I was like, but that was I remember watching was it 2020 Mom Would Watch or whatever, or something about the dangers of role-playing games, and
Mhm.
people are going to play like this, but then they're going to go and play for real and not know the difference between play and reality.
I can assure you
You're not devil worshipping on the side.
that does not happen.
Well, yeah, because you would call the entire pantheon, you could call upon your god and goddess, and if you made your roll, they granted you a favor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I can see where that would come in as people not knowing the game,
Yeah.
and they're just, well, they're talking to this goddess or that god, but I'm a cleric of that person, so of course that's my deity in the game.
Yeah. Keywords in the game. And even if people cosplay, they dress up. Cos is short for costumes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just that, but
I show her my age, it just sounds so bizarre.
oh yeah, it is bizarre.
Oh, yeah, what a great Irish.
It's just, yeah, storytelling.
But yeah, I pulling us back. I'm sorry, I got us on a D&D tangent. I do that. We probably don't have enough time to go to a next chapter. So is there anything else that is interesting that stuck out to anyone that they were curious about? There were literally horns on the altar, which is what that comment is. There is a period, there's a section of the Bible that is basically God becomes an interior designer, where the temple is described in great detail. And so you find out facts like that, like how big everything was, what it was made of. And so, yeah, that's when you can find out about those horns.
They're like the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the Holy of Holies where the Ark was kept. And yeah, so it's lots of detail there. The other thing it might say, if any of you are Charity, I know yours is a study Bible, so you have notes. The verses 7 through 10 are referencing Exodus. So talking about the strength of the horse and the riders. And so it's Pharaoh's army. That was this mighty army that we already know that God defeated by swallowing them up into the sea. And so it's kind of foreshadowing that we know God can do this against armies. So this army better get ready for what's coming.
Well, and it sounds like at the beginning of 8, Lord is your name. Like, just a reminder here, God. You can do this. You are Lord. So just if you need a reminder, that's who you are.
Well, and sometimes it's a reminder for ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
We say out loud, God, I know you have the power to heal. I know you have the power to comfort me. I know you've got my back. And sometimes in our heads we're thinking, I really don't know that.
Want to get to this?
Isn't that the truth?
Well, and that's what it says. They do not know that you are the Lord who crushes wars.
Yeah.
Great and true. But there's a war. So what point are we going to crush it? At what point have we decided to allow it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, at least to me, it gets tricky, right? Like,
yeah,
all good in God. There's also bad stuff going on too.
I find it amazing how much violence is in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Book of Kings is like Game of Thrones. There's a lot of interesting stuff there.
People keep being people.
That is true.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I lost it.
I like the verses maybe 5 and 6. It's always very reassuring that like God already knows everything that's gonna happen. It's all like terrible things are happening, but it's also being done with foresight as to like how these terrible things might end up making things better eventually. Sometimes the worst thing turns into the best thing. Just this idea, it's already been figured out. God knows.
Yeah.
I find that very reassuring when I'm in periods of like stress or anxiety. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. God knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's not out to get me.
Question on that. If he knows everything that's going to happen,
Yeah.
then how are we not predestined? Where does we get our free will to do whatever?
That's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one.
I thought of that before.
That's a tricky question.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on what predestined means. Because
Well, it's like you were born and like you say, God knows everything you're going to do. So you're predestined to do this stuff in a way. I don't know.
He's giving you the choice, but he knows what choice you're going to make.
But we
Right.
don't know what choice we're gonna make. So.
yeah.
My dad used to say sometimes the only thing you can change is your attitude. Like maybe these things are going to happen, but I get to pick. Am I going to be fearful about it? Am I going to like be peaceful about it? Am I going to try to like use these things to learn and grow? Or am I going to choose these things to make me bitter and resentful? Am I going to use these things to connect with people? Or am I going to use these things to like keep people away from me? And I choose both all the time, but at least in my mind, it's like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. That's how
I like that.
That's how I think about it. I don't have the answers though.
I feel like if my dad said that to me and I got in trouble, I'd be like, the only thing you can choose is how you react.
That would be
Oh, you're
good.
good. You're smart enough, yes.
What were you gonna say, Jordan?
I mean, it's like since we don't know the future, we kind of do have free will. Like I could have gone to McDonald's instead of Culver's, but you know, so it's just.
But God knew you were going to get that.
But I didn't know.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't know. But
Yeah, I see what you mean, but since I don't know it, what do you think?
I think one of the things is that God doesn't exist within time in the same way that we do, which I think makes it a little different for us.
Okay.
Like God doesn't on Tuesday, August 4th, know where you're going to end up for eternity, from like within this.
Okay.
So we experience time in a different way. And so I think it's hard to say that from within our timeline, we know what is going to happen to us in the end. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, now you've gone from D&D to Star Trek.
Or Doctor Who even.
But that makes sense.
Like
That's-
dark matter and.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Rod Sterling.
I read somewhere when I was doing a little bit of research on making the sign of the cross. But I don't remember the theologian's name, but they said that the reason we go both directions, we do a horizontal and a vertical, is because the horizontal is the journey of our lives, and God cuts through our lives at every point.
Wow, I like that.
Is it left to right, up to down?
Yeah.
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 So God was before us. Our lives continue.
Oh.
God cuts through our lives at every moment.
And is it the Greek do it opposite of us?
Yes.
That's what it is.
So does my mom, who is Byzantine Catholic.
I've
all right,
never
yeah.
thought anything other than it looks like a cross.
Mhm.
Like it's never crossed my mind that there could be more to that thought.
Oh, Christians love adding symbols to symbols to symbols.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes I wonder though, is there, or just somebody later down the road was like, this is cool.
Yeah, probably so.
In most cases,
This is
it's
tough.
Which is cool.
You know what your dad said?
Yeah,
Your attitude you can change.
yeah.
And it's so true, because at least for myself, when I had cancer,
Mhm.
that's a terrible thing. But it turned out to be a great thing, because
Yeah.
I got 3 minutes. So even if God throws you something bad, there could be good in it if your attitude's good. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you get to pick. You can
Yeah.
use that to get bitter.
yeah, or you
Yeah.
can do it the other way, and it's, yeah.
Somebody in the hospital told me there's no testimony without a test.
Oh,
Mm.
let your mess become your message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Did you make that up?
No, it's from the band, the group Clips, Pusha T and Malice. Anyway, that's Malice says that. He was a Christian rapper, but for a while. Anyway, let your mess
Okay.
become your message, which I think is kind of fun.
Pretend you made it up.
I'm not bringing that on me. Not me Pusha T mad at me.
Yeah, more evangelical churches, they have the market cornered on pithy sayings much more than
Yeah.
liturgical churches.
A lot of them are really useful.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. No,
Well, I've got
no
a mess.
testimony without a
So.
test.
Well, when you're in crisis, you find out who Christ is.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, slogans are helpful.
And I didn't grow up with any of these.
Do we not have a board where we could put the letters in the front of our church? Come on.
We
What do you call marquee?
Oh, where they have those.
we do we have one of those in storage.
God answers me mail. They're so funny. They're so bad, most of them.
They're fun to read, though.
I used to drive by that every day. Anyway, that's
And they're entertaining. They're not good, but
Hey.
some are good. Some are really good.
sometimes the stupid stuff sticks with
Oh,
me.
yeah.
You know what? It makes you smile and laugh.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
stop our recording.
No matter what it